It's not just the federal courts that have a number of different sets of court rules. The state level courts will also have their own rules. And so here we see all of the various rules from the state of Oregon: rules of civil procedure, evidence code, appellate procedure. The UTCR, the Uniform Trial Court rules, are very important for practicing in the state. And then some specific court codes like the tax court and the professional conduct rules. Now, where do we find the Oregon rules? Well, similar places to the federal rules. Like with the federal rules, the Oregon rules are included in the Oregon revised statutes. Similarly, they're not in appendices, they're actually given their own sections of the statutes, but you can find them through the same method we looked at on both the legal research platforms and on the Oregon legislature's website for laws and bills. I have found that most litigators, in my experience, will have a print copy of the Oregon Rules of Court. This is one version that I have a picture of here. That's the one published by Thomson Reuters, who own Westlaw. It is nice. It's an annotated rules that give you all the rules in a jurisdiction. So the federal rules for the District of Oregon, the state court rules, all of the various state court rules. And so it's a very nice collection to have, and you can tab it with the important sections and have it easy to reference. Then, of course, they're on Westlaw, Lexis, and Bloomberg. And you'll get annotated versions and citing references features on those platforms. So again, very useful. Now there's also the Oregon Court Rules Center, and we'll take a look at that in a second to see all the various rules that are available. So here we are on the Oregon Rules Center page for the Judicial Department. If you're looking for this, you just find any Oregon Judicial Branch webpage, and you go up to the top to the link for the forms, rules, fees, and you can find the Rules Center. Now, the rules on this page are those that we saw are also included in the Oregon revised statutes. So we see the Uniform Trial Court rules, and if we scroll down, we see the Appellate Court rules and the Tax Court rules. However, there are additional rules that do not appear in the ORS, the Oregon Revised Statutes. And the one I want to flag for you are the supplementary local court rules. So local courts are able to generate rules that expand on and illuminate the rules that apply across the court system. One way to think about them is that the challenges faced by the Multnomah County courts in Portland are going to be, in some ways, different from those challenges faced by a rural court in Eastern Oregon, like Umatilla County. And so you want to make sure that there are rules in place to deal with whatever issues the court finds they're dealing with on a regular basis. So that's what the supplementary local court rules are intended to address. Now, the most common place to find the local court rules is going to be on the court website. So going, and finding the court's webpage and looking for the rules there. And it's nice that Oregon collects all of these supplementary local court rules in one place for us. So let's take a look at Clackamas County to see what the local court rules are there. And here we find the current and future rules. And I want to show you that we get two major types of rules here. We see two categories, the CJO and the rule, or Chief Judge Order, whereas the rule is just a standard rule. So if you're looking for the regular rules, for the daily operation of the court in that county, you just select this page, and you'll pull up what we call the SLR, the supplementary local rules. And they're updated annually, not generally changed that much. But if we look at the table of contents here, you see that it is a lot more practical than the sort of uniform trial court rules or the rules of civil or criminal procedure. So where do payments go? How do you apply for a low-cost legal services? And specific, how that court handles decorum, arbitration, issues like that are fairly court specific and at the discretion of the local judges. And so this is a really useful, very practical set of rules. In a lot of ways, it's the way in which like a regulation compares to a statute is how supplementary local rules compare to the more general court rules. If we go back to the Clackamas County Rules page, you will also see those chief judge orders. And those are, the more practical or emergency orders. And so when we're dealing with the court closures and the changes in the emergency changes in procedures that a lot of the courts are seeing, that's where those come in. And so those are coming from the chief judge's office. And and those are going to be governing the issues like procedures associated with limiting exposure, who's allowed in the building, and issues like that. You can also see the prior rules, so old versions of the rules over here. Then you also get the presiding judge orders and directing, specific actions. So this is far more narrower than these other rules that we are seeing. So that's all available on the county court's website. Obviously, every state's going to be different in how they present them, but wherever you are, you should look for the local court's rules so that you understand the procedures and you don't run afoul of any judges. So it feels like we've gotten pretty specific. We're at a local court level. Well, you can still get more specific. There are very few people who have more power than a judge in a courtroom. And so let's find an individual judge's rules. So we're going to take a look at the Multnomah County Court website. We're going to go over to this page here and click on Judges. And we will select Judge Bushong. So this page is very useful, gives a nice information about the judge, contact information, and then sort of basic, procedures and biography. But then down here at the bottom, you'll see courtroom procedures. And this is where the judge makes his particular requests of parties and attorneys appearing before him in court. So these are this judge's preference for courtroom practices. And it gives you like even more precise details. And so, for example, the first thing on the list is that cell phones should be turned off upon entering the courtroom. That tells you that if you're appearing before this judge, you do not want your phone to go off. And then similarly, it's telling you that attorneys may either stand or remain seated when addressing the court. So you get really useful practical information. This type of document is really valuable when appearing before a judge, but also if you are interviewing with a judge or if you are interning with a judge to find out what these procedures are at the beginning, because they'll give you a lot of guidance. A lot of new attorneys and people going into the legal workplace for the first time are filled with a little bit of trepidation about how to behave, and these types of documents give you a lot more confidence in that context. So that's the fundamentals of finding court rules. You are going to find yourself researching them if you go into a litigation or trial court practice area, on a regular basis. It is pretty straightforward. It is not that different from statutory research, especially if you're using the major legal research platforms. But I will signal for you that you're generally going to be able to find the uniform rules or statewide or federal rules on the legal research platforms, but you may need to do more digging for the supplementary local court rules or the specific courtroom procedures for a judge.